The return of the late night Sunday videos. Where are my night creatures at? Well, yesterday's video was perhaps the worst comment section I've ever seen. I nearly cried myself to sleep reading all the comments mocking me. But thankfully I'm doing a lot better now. Dicks. But in the midst of those tears, a question popped in my mind. Alice, why is she lying to us? And more importantly, what is she hiding? Because, folks, nothing about her makes sense. For starters, how does an outsider from Teyvat, someone who's not from here originally and is only on this planet for a vacation to have fun?
My main reason for coming on this trip to Teyvat was, of course, to have some fun.
Gain a title and job as important as sustaining the world's borders.
As the sustainer of the world's borders, she tolerates my presence. But she did make me promise not to interfere too much with this world's affairs.
Keeping in check all who enter the sky barrier made by the primordial one themselves. If this job title once presumably belonged to the shade of space, our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles, then does no one find it odd Alice could have gained her job around when Asmoday may have gone missing, which was sometime after the cataclysm? For instance, when the twins came to Teyvat, they weren't greeted by Alice, who intended to question their motives for coming to Teyvat. However, later when Skirk entered Teyvat, Alice was right there to play bouncer and ensure Skirk didn't ruin things in Teyvat, indicating she got the job sometime after the twins came, but sometime before Skirk came. Now, with that said, an odd entity that was seemingly let through with no problem was the all-devouring narwhal, which should have been brought after the twins got to Teyvat, but before Sertology left, but that would be before Skirk came, so there's still the time. Why was this thing let through? It's some bullshit. Regardless of her scorekeeping when it comes to playing bouncer, the all-important question must be asked, how did she get this job title to begin with? Despite, in theory, being the only ones to have the authority to grant Alice such a permission, I'm not entirely sure the Heavenly Principles could have been the ones to give Alice the task for two reasons. One, the Heavenly Principles fell asleep after the cataclysm, and given Sertology only probably had the power to bring in the narwhal after he gained the power of the Abyss, then in that small gap, if by then Alice had the authority to maintain Teyvat's borders, it's unlikely she would have let the narwhal in, which is just a whale that feeds on, a planet's life force before moving on to the next. So odds are she may not have had this job yet. The second reason is quite simple. Folks, Alice has a strange disdain for the Heavenly Principles that runs so deep, she'd lie to us, the player, the traveler, to make them look bad. What do I mean? First, simply listen to this disgusting manner in which she speaks of the father of all and mother to all gods.
Theoretically, speaking so candidly should put me in their crosshairs too, but they can't tell me what to do. I'll say whatever I want.
Next, look at how Alice brazenly lies about the situation regarding the Moon Sisters, insinuating they were only removed because they merely offended the Heavenly Principles.
After the War of Funerary Flame, the Moon Goddesses were no longer recognized by Teyvat. They lost the whole foundation for their existence. That's why the Moon Goddess's strength is fading. She cannot withstand the world's rejection of her. To be more pedantic about it, the Moon Goddesses did something to offend the Heavenly Principles, and that's why they were ousted. Something of a recurring theme in Teyvat's history.
Disgusting. Folks, we'd learn later from Nicole, our angel, the first angel, the truth regarding the expulsion of the three moons.
Nibelung would eventually discover their disloyalty. He had all three imprisoned before transforming the moons into weapons with which to fight against the Heavenly Principles.
What? Weapons?
Yes. The very moons that had once defended the planet became instruments of death and destruction, striking terror into the hearts of all living things. And although the Heavenly Principles and the three Moon Sisters had once been at peace, it now seemed that the moons posed an unacceptable threat to Teyvat. It is possible that the Heavenly Principles did not know of the goddess's imprisonment. If so, the weaponization of the moons would surely have been viewed as an intentional breach of the peace agreement. Regardless of who knew what, when, the heavenly principles shattered 2 moons and flung the other beyond the skies.
Thank you, Blessed One. So yes, folks, woe is the heavenly principles for being offended that the world of Teyvat was being torn apart, that innocent people were dying because that bastard correct Kedragon King Nivalang turned the moons into weapons and let them loose, causing Fanes to annihilate them. But yeah, no, their feelings were hurt as well. I mean, I don't know. If I was Fanes, I would also be offended that my beautiful creations were dying by the thousands. But you didn't, you stupid bitch. You didn't know what sadness was till you were an adult and read a kid's book. So only natural she doesn't understand, or maybe you just gotta leave out the former point because I'm on to you. In any case, if not the heavenly principles, then who else has the authority to give Alice this job title? An obvious answer could have been indicated in Alice's reasons for keeping up the border: Rhinedottire.
That's one reason anyway, and the most important one. The others are a little complicated to explain. For instance, cleaning up after dearest Miss R.
Having merged with Nibirius, Rhinedottire is now the Shade of Life, and even attends the same tea parties the other shades attend, which presumably means they've accepted her as one of us. And given she wields the same authorities they wield, she could bestow onto Alice the authority to keep up the borders for the purpose of keeping her fuck-ass creations away from Teyvat. But Alice said something interesting. She said in addition to this being a reason she keeps the borders, there's another, more complicated reason. Interesting. If we again assume it was Asmoday, the Shade of Space, who sustained the borders, we can spot an interesting similarity between the one action Asmoday did at the start of the game and what Alice does now. Folks, as mentioned earlier, Alice acts like a bouncer for Teyvat, keeping tabs on who enters. It should come as no surprise then the one who acted as a bouncer for the twins attempting to flee Teyvat was Asmoday. So, if Asmoday was the one who kept up Teyvat's borders before Alice, could it be before Asmoday went missing, she asked Alice to upkeep the borders in her stead? The word missing is doing a lot of heavy lifting, given again we've recently seen her, and we know she's off with a new master, but regardless, she's not in any meaningful sense of the word here. And given if she's not performing her duties, but felt it necessary they be performed, because she's a good little shade, she could have reached out to another to have them do it. Now, why would she reach out to Alice? I couldn't tell you. Maybe she didn't want to trouble the other shades, given they have their own domains to look after, so she brought in a third powerful party. It's also another possibility that Rhinedottire or another shade asked Alice to keep up the borders because Asmoday went missing doing it. That's possible. It's also possible this was never Asmoday's responsibility and Alice just decided to take up this project for funsies. Maybe the Hexen Circle machine dug something up and it was like, oh, shit's getting real bad out there. Let me keep up the borders. Wouldn't be entirely out of character for her to just do that, I suppose, but given Alice herself stated there were more complicated reasons beyond the abyssal energies outside the border, and a shade going missing and the heavenly principles being asleep is pretty complicated, you really gotta wonder if the two cases are connected. Because despite everything she said, and she probably knows that the border is Fanes' eggshell, at the end of the day, all that lies beyond that border is the abyss. So maybe the reason is just as simple as wanting to give little Klee a home.